Hi, welcome to the Dream Factory. My name is Nancy Cantor. I'm your hostess today, and I run a community here in the Metro West area called the Dream Factory Community. And it supports women in taking on their life, their work, and their world. We also have chapters in Concord, Reading, Brattleboro, Vermont, and one on the web, a virtual community. And the people that I interview on the show are our members who we feel are good examples of women who are living their dreams, but also helping other women live theirs. So today I have Marcia Macres. She is a marketing specialist, and she's actually a member of our Concord community. And we're very thrilled that she's here today to share with you some of the secrets and information that are important for people to know, because especially with startups and new small businesses, it's so important to know how do you market yourself when you're wearing so many hats, to make sure you put on your marketing hat so people know that you have a business and that you're open for business. Welcome, Marcia.
Thank you, Nancy, for having me.
Well, I'm glad that you're here. And so the first question I always ask, given that this is a Dream Factory community, is how has the Dream Factory supported you with your business?
The Dream Factory has been a great networking and social community for me. I've made a lot of friends. I've had a few clients from this, but more importantly, it's a group of women who are doing what they're trying, their dreams, and doing what they want to do, and supporting each other, and I feel like they're my people. We have each other's backs, and I really appreciate this community that I'm a part of.
That's really nice, so thanks for saying that. So I want to get a little background on you, because I know you weren't always a marketing specialist, but I know you've been doing marketing for a long time. Mm-hmm. What's your background? I know you have a very varied background.
I do. I have been, have about 25 years in marketing and public relations. Okay. But I worked in large companies that were defense companies in the high-tech and military industries. Worked on some really secret projects, had the high clearance, all that real corny, geeky stuff. And I enjoyed it. And then I started helping people. I was involved in 3 different startups in the telecommunication industry, and I really found my niche there. I enjoyed that a lot, helping with marketing communications, and I think what I learned the most was how to go from a large company with big budgets and resources to nothing, basically, and learning how to get the biggest bang for your buck and do the most you can with marketing without, having to go hire the big firms out there. So my background, I feel like, I had so much fun. I helped a friend start a PR firm in the telecom industry. I was involved in another company that was in digital signal processing. I traveled the world. I worked 60 hours a week, and I loved it. I love marketing. And then, for me in my life at that time, I was having a great time. I was superwoman. Everything was going my way. And then I had a hard time having kids. And after a few losses, my doctor said, "You have to quit your job." And I thought, but I love my job. I don't, want to quit. But I quit my job, and I made a promise with God that if I could just have a healthy child, that I would stay home as much as I could and take care of them. And it worked. I have 2 healthy children, a beautiful daughter who's 12 and a son who's 16. And I was a stay-at-home mom for a while, but I couldn't keep my fingers out of helping people and doing some kind of marketing. So I did do some work with some small companies and help them with promoting their events and their products. But last year, I really started getting restless, and I said, I think I really want to get back into the full-time corporate world, get back into that. And so I did my due diligence. I started going, and seeing headhunters and going to seminars for women getting back in the corporate field. And what happened was I sat there and would chat offline with some of these women, and what I heard the most was their regret on their long commutes, missing their kids' important activities, how tired they were. And it was this huge aha moment for me that was like, what I thought I wanted to do, I don't want to do. So I had this moment of, okay, now what? And I decided that, you know, I had helped other people start their businesses before and their startups, and I enjoyed that, but I kind of want to create my own thing where I can take my experience and go help others. And I really wanted to also focus on women, you know, women who were in the same situation where they were trying to get back into the business and maybe do their own thing. And I needed to do this for me so I could have flexibility, so I could be home for my kids when I needed to be home. So I started my own consulting firm, and it's called MJ Communications. And I concentrate mainly on small businesses who are just starting up or, you know, are still trying to get things rolling. And I help them set up their marketing campaigns and their marketing plans and figure out how to help them build their audiences with, you know, email management and branding and press releases and online marketing and social media. I love social media.
Great.
And a lot of people I've come across, a lot of these women are scared of those things. They don't know what to do, and I love doing that. And so this is the part of the job that I love the most, is that I can help make them feel more confident and help them get their businesses going.
Great. So it sounds like you had an epiphany.
Yes.
That just going back into the corporate world didn't fit where you were now.
Not now in this time.
Not now at this time.
Yeah.
And I think that happens to a lot of women, especially after they have kids. You know, once you've had a taste of you don't have to work 9 to 5 or 9 to 8 at night, or, you know, that 60-hour work week, and you want to stay home, that it is wonderful to have something that really fits the timing, that fits for having kids.
Yeah.
You know, I created my consulting business 20 years ago. My son's 22. So it definitely had a fit in.
Yeah.
When I first started my business, I had all my clients, I had coaching clients, and when I first started out, I had about 6 clients. I would have them all in the morning. I worked with them over the phone. I never even got dressed. And I was done by 9:30. And my son woke up at 9:30. So that's kind of how I planned it.
Yeah.
And then I would have the rest of the day free to be with him. And, you know, I think that's so important for women that choose that. I mean, everybody has choices to make. And if you choose that, it's great to know that that's possible. And it's also interesting, I mean, obviously you've got a ton of experience with the marketing. It sounds like when you worked with the .com situation, you realized that there's a whole other grassroots way of doing marketing.
Yes.
Than from, you know, the huge budgets and, you know, the PR and the advertising. So it's great that you know that. So it sounds like you'd be uniquely qualified to help smaller businesses, you know, because most of them don't have a huge budget for that. But also, you know, like you said, people can be scared of marketing. What do you think scares people about marketing?
I think social media scares people who aren't familiar with it. A lot of comments I get from clients are that they think social media is kind of for the younger generation and more of a social thing, which it is a social thing, but I think it's a great tool to use to help spread the word to other people. And they don't know how to use it. They're afraid of branding, like how do you create a logo, how do you create your look. And I think that once the branding's in place, everything else kind of starts falling into place, because then you go and you find your, you know, social media, you set all that up, you start creating your audience by, you know, building your email list and getting the word out there, and press releases and things like that. And a lot of people are just afraid of, you know, well, who do I send a press release to? How do I know what to say? You know, and those are things that I enjoy doing.
Fantastic.
So I feel like that's what I bring to the table, is more of a calmness to them. And also something that's important to me is that I can do all these things for my clients, but I also like to teach them how to do it themselves.
Great.
So that they can feel successful in continuing on.
Yeah, so they're not kept out of the loop.
Right.
I know once I worked, you know, I had a bookkeeper once, and she did a fantastic job, but I never really learned what she was doing.
Yeah.
You know, so it was great that she did it, and I needed it, but it wasn't, I really would have liked to have learned more about, you know, how she set up QuickBooks, and how do you put all the stuff in, and What are the reports that I need to look at? So I assume it's, I would imagine it's the same with marketing, that people need to know what are the things that you're doing or looking at. I mean, branding's pretty simple. It's almost like the clothes that you wear, the clothes that your business wears. Like what's the look, what's the color, what's that logo that, people associate with your brand.
Right.
And do you do any of that, or do you just?
I do.
Oh,
yes,
you do?
I've created.
So you do logos, you do graphic arts?
I do some graphic art work, but I've created some branding for some clients, and mostly if they have something already in mind, but they don't have any collateral, I've helped them with their business cards. I've helped them, create their cover photos and things for their social media and their letterhead, and for their website, and making sure that it's all consistent in all the different areas of marketing. And some people, they want to learn how to do these things. So most of my clients, I actually sit down side by side most of the time and do things with them so they can see what's being done. But then I have a couple of clients who, they don't care, they just want it done, and I'm happy to do that too. So
it sounds like you take them from doing the marketing strategy to the elements, like if you do the branding of the logo, make sure that all that's set up with letterhead and website and Facebook fan page and a variety of things.
And I provide them with cheat sheets, to what do you need to do to maintain your social media on a weekly basis? What do you need to do? How often should you send your newsletter out? Or, if you have an event, or stay in touch with your audience.
And what do you recommend along those lines? Like in terms of, social media, because that can be confusing for people. Sometimes it's hard to know, okay, Facebook, so you can put your pictures and your events, and I mean, I can speak from the Dream Factory perspective. We post a lot of stuff on there. But, how does LinkedIn fit into it? And Twitter and Instagram, what are your thoughts on that?
It depends on what your product is.
Sure.
But, most people basically have a website, a Facebook and Twitter account. And I'm more on the conservative side because I know that people tend to get kind of bombarded with so much posts and inputs. So I recommend if you have an event, you're definitely going to push that really hard. But if you don't have any particular thing happening at the moment, I still suggest that they do a weekly post to Facebook. And again, if there's no event happening, the newsletter should definitely go out at least once a month, kind of thing. Just tell people what you've been up to, what you're doing to improve your company and things that you're working towards. And so I think that the communication is really important. A lot of people don't know that you can set up your Facebook page to automatically post to Twitter. You don't ever have have to touch Twitter.
Well, here's the thing. I know when I use Constant Contact, for my newsletter and the event marketing pieces. And then there's a simple share function in Constant Contact. Right. So I use that a lot. So I post to Twitter. It can post to my different, because I have a few Facebook pages. So I can post to some of those, depending on which ones I check off. But how do things from Facebook get put on Twitter? I didn't know that.
It's in your settings in Facebook. I will show you how later.
Okay, good.
But
all right, good. A little tutorial.
You can set up inside the settings of Facebook that it automatically will post to Twitter or maybe some of your other outlets. So a lot of people, I've set up Twitter accounts for them. They're like, I can't deal with it. I don't have time for that. It's fine. Every time they post something on their Facebook page, it will automatically post on their Twitter account as well.
Cool.
Now, Instagram is, a lot of pictures. That's something that a lot of people don't have time for if they're, let's say, have a company that's working on nourishment or a dance or something like that. They don't want to take the time to do that. I think that takes a little more commitment. And your pictures have to be square, and you have to have certain things in place for that. But it's still a good tool if you have the time to manage that as well.
What do you think about Pinterest? Because I just recommend, we had somebody with a product, and I know Pinterest is getting a lot more active in terms of being able to link to your website, because people are always putting fashion and jewelry and food on Pinterest. And if somebody had a product, like they had a zippered bag that they sell in Nantucket, you know, because it, you know, little container bags that you can put inside your Nantucket, you know, those basket pocketbooks kind of thing.
Yeah.
And they have a variety of purposes, but that's one of the purposes. So I said, well, maybe you should put that on Pinterest with a link to your website.
I highly recommend Pinterest. It's very hot right now. And the nice thing is that, you know, on your website and your other avenues of communicating, you can put down, you know, all your different avenues, your Pinterest, your Facebook, your Twitter, all those icons. But with Pinterest, I don't know if you're familiar with it.
I am. I actually have a couple of boards that I do on Pinterest.
Yeah.
I'm not quite sure what to do with them, but I took a trip to Ecuador, so I have an Ecuador board. And a lot of times people repost some of my pictures from that because they're just gorgeous.
And when you're searching other things, you know, that little Pinterest pin comes up, and you can sit there and just instantly pin things that are interesting to you and pin it to your board. So that's I think Pinterest is a fun.
I could get lost
thing.
all day on Pinterest.
Yeah.
Just clicking around,
Yes,
posting past pictures. Even my board for family, which I'm not so sure I should be having it on there, but you know, grandkids and stuff like that.
But you know, you asked me what some of the fears are, and I think one of the top things I've heard is that people are afraid of social media because they're afraid that they'll get sucked in and won't be able to control themselves. And I think that you just have to set yourself goals, like you'll spend 1 hour in the morning or something. And you know, I tell people it's to manage your Facebook and Twitter and things. It's like reading the newspaper. Think of it as that way. You're reading the news, you're catching up, and then you're done and you go do your other things that you need to do for the day. But it's a good way to stay in touch. But
yeah. And aren't there some changes now, you know, just given that you're talking about social media, there's some changes now with Facebook.
yes.
What's going on with Facebook?
Facebook keeps making changes.
Yeah.
It's hard to keep up with.
Okay.
I think it's really sad that you can't really reach too many people without paying money and placing an ad.
Do you recommend the ads? Is that part of the repertoire that you put together?
I do. I think that, you know, what I recommend is a quick like $20 ad, you know, or a boost, something to get more likes to your page, or if you have an event that you're working on. What I like about those ads is that you can really target who you're going to have see those ads. So you can target, you know, an age group, demographics, where, you know, in the Boston area, and then you can pick about, you know, at least 10 different topics, like if you're in theater or art or dance, you know, and you can just target those people. And you'll be seen by, you know, that many people. Could be, you know, thousands of people. And if you get 1 or 2 or 3 people coming to your event and it was $20 and your tickets are $40, you know, you did well. So I do highly recommend every once in a while trying a boost or an ad with Facebook.
And what's the difference? So what's a boost? What do boosts usually cost? Does it depend on how many go out, or how do they get priced?
You decide what your price is.
Okay.
So you decide what your budget is. It could be as low as $5, and then you pick where your targeted audience is going to be, and it'll tell you how many you could potentially reach.
Okay.
And then what's nice is it does create a report for you and tell you how many people clicked on your event, opened it, and you can get an idea, so you can kind of measure, was it worth it? You know, how do I want to make a change next time?
And where do those boosts show up? Just on somebody's timeline, their feed?
Yeah, you know, when you're looking at the Facebook feed, on the right-hand side, there's paid advertisements, and it'll say promoted, and
Okay.
that would be yours. Now, you don't see it because it's coming from you, but it shows up on people who are in those areas that you chose, you know, whether it's music or Ecuador or something like that.
Interesting.
So if they've had interest in that from their Facebook page, then it would show up on their page there.
Got it. So it's based on people's interests. It will show up on their feed.
Yep.
Now, what's the difference between a boost and an ad?
An ad you can create. You can add pictures. Like I've run ads where it's had 6 pictures rotating through and it says something. So you're creating it within Facebook. A boost is just a post that you've done and you just want
more people
and
to
it
see
stays
it.
that way, and you just want people to see that. Yeah.
Got it. Okay, interesting. All right, so let's get back to you want to work with startups. That's really your niche. How do you know, what's the process that you take people through? What would be the process if I'm a new startup and I go, I'm afraid.
Yeah.
I don't usually do, and you know, and it's probably very justified. People, if they've never done it, would be afraid. Like,
Yeah.
you know, they'd rather do the actual work of their business than the marketing sales part of their business. So how do you work with your clients?
So I sit down with them and have a 30 to 45 minute consultation, and I really listen. I think that's one of my qualities. I love to listen to people and find out what is it that they really want, because everybody wants different things. And I find out what they really want. I find out what they're doing towards that.
And give me an example of some different things that people want.
Okay. I have a client who is a beautiful dancer and screenwriter, and she wrote a story, and she performs a solo act. And she loves what she's done, but she needed to find a new venue and create a bigger audience so that people would know what she's doing. She was afraid of social media. She didn't really know quite what to do. I sat down and talked with her, and she just wanted to become up to speed on what other people, you know, what should be, I hate that word, but you know, what you should be doing to help promote your company. And so we talked about her website, which someone else was handling. We talked about setting her up on Facebook and Twitter. We talked about promoting her events, and so we, you know, did a lot of online calendar postings and press release, and so I sat down with her and talked to her, and then I came back with a very simple one-page strategy and said, this is what I think you should be doing, and we should target these areas, which would be, you know, website, social media, online marketing, your collateral, pieces like that. She didn't have any kind of business card, and so I created a business card for her. She had a special event in New York City, and I created a nice postcard to hand out, you know, at that event and to promote it as well. And so that was really fun. And then, you know, she wanted to learn how to do these things. And so I said, great, that's exactly what I love to do, is to help people, you know, learn how to do what I love to do. So we did a lot of side-by-side, sitting down and creating her social media platforms and creating, you know, the collateral and things like that. Instead of doing conversations over the phone, it was a nice way to sit down and do it together and be efficient with the time, because time is money. And
Of course.
but I think, you know, what I told her was, you know, to me, marketing is just basically setting goals and making up to-do lists. It's like planning a party, and I love parties, so
Perfect.
you know, I love marketing.
Yeah, yeah. But that sounds great. It sounds like you get very clear what the person wants,
Mm-hmm.
you know, what their specific goals are. And just even something, I know a lot of times people don't do things because they don't know how. Just a simple example, like you said, you created a postcard.
Yeah.
For, you know, probably before the event of how to promote the event,
Mhm.
and then after the event, these are the wonderful people that came, but then there's something that comes afterwards, or getting them on your email list.
Right.
So you created that, but somebody, a general person, might not know how to do that.
Yeah.
They don't. They don't think about it, they don't know about it. So you must have ways that you do things simple things online that anybody could do, but they don't know how to do it, so you
Right.
teach them.
Right.
So the next time she has an event, she'd have an idea of what she could do.
Right. And then, you know, earlier we talked about, you know, I had to learn from experience, coming from a huge companies with money that they didn't care, you know, we'd spend all this money and do all kinds of fun things, to small companies where we had no budget, and learning, you know, the loopholes and learning how to create something on a small budget. And so that's what I like to teach people, is like, you know, you can create a nice business card or a piece of collateral, and you can go to Staples and buy, you know, some things for your printer and do it at home. Or you could, you know, go out to a print shop and have it done. But I help them with the price comparison and what it would look like, and basically whatever fits into their budget and what they want to do. But you could still have a very nice product and not spend a lot of money.
And what's one tip around that you would suggest to people? You know, they're on a shoestring. What are some of the things that you do suggest around those lines?
I would say go to Avery.com.
Avery.com?
Avery.com. They're the ones who makes all those labels
Yeah.
and things like that. Go to Avery.com. They have lots of templates. Look at their templates, or you can create your own, but pick one of their templates. Put your information in there. Go to Staples, buy the Avery product, put it in your printer and print it out, and boom, you've got your own business cards or your own little promotional cards for your event. I would say.
So you just go to Staples and buy like
you
a
can
card.
buy note cards.
Note cards. You can buy the labels that would be the same size as business cards. You could even do your own labels and print them out, like name tags, if you have events and things
name
like
tags.
that.
They have business cards too, glossy, matte finish, they have it all. It's
Really?
Staples.
And give me an idea of what that costs if you were going to do it that way.
I think the labels were like under $20 for 100. And then, you know, you have to buy the ink, so it depends on what kind of printer you have. So between $40 and $70 maybe, but that's not going to take all the ink, you know, for that one project. So you have to, you know, work out what that would cost. And then just your time, you know, time is money, but, and there's a little trial and error, you know, you work that out, so if you have the patience for that. But, so I think that you could, you know, definitely get 100 business cards for under $30.
Pretty good.
Yeah.
And how do you think that compares to Vistaprint?
It's a little bit cheaper. It depends on the person's budget. Like sometimes if we were doing higher quantities, I would suggest using Vistaprint because, you know, they just come out a little bit, you know, more professional, you know, with the really nice ink and the glossy, if that's what you want. But when you're doing small quantities, it's nice to do it at home because that's where you will save the money.
Okay, great.
Yeah.
So, and that's a good place to start. You can kind of play around, you do a short run of something, you'll get a sense, is this what I really like, rather than getting 1,000 of something
Right.
and saying, ooh, not exactly what I was hoping for here.
And especially when starting out, I think what happens, and it even happens with my own company, is that it's a journey and things change.
Sure.
You know, and so you've got these 1,000 business cards and all of a sudden you're like, ooh, you know, I want to say this instead of that, or, you know, when I started out, I wanted to be a social media expert, you know, only. And it's changed for me because so many people need help with all kinds of marketing communications, and that's really my expertise, is that overall everything under that umbrella. So I need to change my business cards.
Yeah, so you had your own example of how you needed to do that.
Exactly.
Wow, that's great.
Yeah.
Well, so any last tip for people, because we do need to end the show in 2 minutes, so any last tip for people regarding their marketing?
I think, you know, just don't be afraid of marketing. I think, you know, if you think of it as planning a party, you know, you got to get people to come see what you're doing. And once they see it, they're going to help, you know, build that ripple effect where they're going to tell your friends and stuff. So to me, marketing is a very key factor of you building your business and making your dream happen.
Yes.
And I can help with that.
That's awesome. That's so awesome. Well, thank you for being with us today. I really appreciate all your tips and your information and where your heart is around helping people. I think that's at the heart of creating your dream, is you help other people create theirs.
Thank you, and the Dream Factory has been a big part of that. Thank you. It's
been our pleasure, absolutely. So I want to thank you for tuning in today. My name is Nancy Cantor. I'm talking to marketing specialist Marcia Macres, who's located in the Concord area, but I'm sure she travels.
Yes.
Yes. And so if you're a small startup and you really have not addressed your marketing, or you really would like an expert to help you with that, it sounds like she's got some great gifts to help you get on the right track. And honestly, I really agree with what she said, that, you know, when you have a business, embracing your marketing is a key element to your success. And especially when you want that flexibility of having your own business, it's definitely something you need to learn. So, my name is Nancy Cantor. Thank you for tuning into the Dream Factory community. And as always, I'm wishing that you live your dreams. Thanks for tuning in, and we'll see you next time.